Coach Herrick obviously gets most of the attention for that Elite Eight run. I know he guided you that year. Obviously, he gets the praise he deserves. But can you talk a little bit about obviously Al Skinner, who that you guys were his team, recruited most of you guys. What was that transition like, going from someone who recruited you, and it's your senior year, and you have a new coach coming in?
Yeah, it was a big transition for us. Like you said, Coach Skinner recruited all of us for the most part. He laid the foundation for us. We started 7-20, and we had like 5 or 6 freshmen on our team. We had a very young team that, we were wet behind the ears. We didn't know anything. So we had to learn how to win, but we had to go through the struggle and lose a lot of games to get there. And Coach Skinner allowed that for us. We struggled a lot. But most of the games we did lose, we lost by 5 points or less. I think it was like 11 games out of those 20. So we learned from our mistakes. We learned to gel and come together as a team, and we grew as brothers. So Coach Skinner allowed that, along with Bill Cohen and Tim O'Shea as our assistant coaches. Ed Cooley came in my junior year. Al Skinner laid the foundation for what happened as seniors.
What satisfaction did you get just seeing your guys succeed in '98?
Oh, a tremendous amount of satisfaction, and it really was. To tell the truth, I almost did not leave to go to BC because even though my if you can believe it, my contract had run out, and I didn't even have a contract at the end of the year.
That's crazy.
And so even under those conditions, I almost stayed because I had made a commitment to those players. And then, Preston Murphy came into my office and said, "Coach, if they're offering you that much money, you got to go." Yeah. And I was like, he kind of taking me off the hook a little bit. And it gave me a sigh of relief because I never really wanted to go back on my word. And so with that is why I moved on to BC. And a few of the players wanted to come with me to Boston College. And I said, no, because y'all got a really good team. Y'all got a chance to be really good. I was really excited for them. I was excited about the upcoming year. And I winning the A-10s, winning the playoff. I just thought we could, we were going to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, you got to stay. I said, the experience is winning is so important. And it's so important to your future. Just for your own personal self-satisfaction. I said, I don't know how long it's going to take for me to be successful at BC. So they stayed and they had a great run. I actually was a little disappointed they didn't win more. I watched some of the games. Like I remember watching them early in the year and they played against UConn. Yeah. And I'm like, oh no, they're not playing the way I want them to play. I was like, yo, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm actually pissed.
Yeah.
And so I kind of stayed away. And then I got a call one night from one of the players and I was like, listen, and I said, I'm gonna tell you something. I said, if you did this to me as your coach, I tell you what, I would beat your butt. Okay. It wasn't quite that nice, but you get the hint. So I said, but you know how to win. You know what it takes to win. What you do is go out and play. You play your game. You play the way I taught you. Do what you have to do. I said, now understand something. Coach may take you out of the game because you're not playing the way you want to play, he wants you to play, but he's got to put you back in because you're that good. They can't afford to win without you. That's a player's attitude. Yeah. I was a player. That's a player's attitude. The kid went in, he did his thing. They beat UMass. And next thing you know, it takes off because they're playing the way that they needed to play in order to be successful. A credit to Herrick. He let them play. And they went on to obviously go on to that Final 8 and really should have been in the Final 4. But it was just great to see. Yeah. Really happy for him, extremely happy for him. And I took a tremendous amount of pride in that because I thought that they were properly prepared and they met the challenge.
Yeah. So I talked to Preston last night, so I got to go talk to him. He's the reason. I got to blame him. No, I'm joking. A lot more people. We will get into who's to blame. I've done some, reading on that one.
Definitely. I think given the landscape of college basketball today, there would have been guys like myself and Antonio probably would have transferred. No penalty, get an opportunity to play for the guy that recruits you. I think that was I think that would have been definitely something we both probably would have considered. But being recruited by Al was great. I mean, he's he's a great teacher, great coach, and I remember him saying something when he recruited us or recruited me, when he said, this isn't a 4-year relationship, it's a 40-year relationship. Yeah. And I spoke to Coach Skinner 2 or 3 days ago, so he's very true to his word, very genuine guy, and he really cared about us as players and as people.
He had a small guard in Tyson, so that's what I really liked about him. Antonio Reynolds Dean and myself were both on the panel to choose a coach back then. They didn't have a search firm. We were the search firm, along with some other guys like boosters and things like that. So we wanted Jim Herrick. He won a national championship. We loved his style of play. I knew he coached a small guard, and he had some great players, Ned O'Bannon and Charles O'Bannon and Toby Bailey and Chris Johnson. So we were excited to get him. We knew he could coach us up. We knew we had a veteran team, and we knew what we could bring to the table along with his coaching.
What made you and Mobley, again, arguably the best backcourt, second to maybe Garrick and Owens, and we can get into that later. But either way, what made you and Mobley work? 2 guards, 2 lefties.
I mean, we both had the will to want to win and prove to everybody that we were one of the best guards in the country. Coming on my visit, Abdul Fox actually was my host, and he dropped me off at a party with Coutinho at the party. And as soon as I met Coutinho, he was like, Tyson, you come here, we're going to be the best 1-2 punch in the country. And I was coming from a small town in Connecticut, and I was like, best 1-2 punch? I don't even know if I can play in Division I. So, he always had that confidence. He brought that confidence on the court for him and myself. But, Coutinho is a very, very hard worker. He's very competitive, and he believed that he was the best every time he stepped on the court. And coming from a small school in Connecticut, I felt the same way. I had a point to prove. I played with a chip on my shoulder. I wasn't highly recruited. So, I wanted to prove to everybody that I could play at the level that Rhode Island was at in the Atlantic 10.
Yeah. I saw that you had mentioned, that Cat, used to get upset at you about throwing lobs. And
yep.
because, you didn't play with anyone tall enough.
Right.
Was that something you just kind of, you always brought up in practice, or he wanted the ball in the air a little bit more?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime we played pickup and he would point up to throw the alley-oop, I wouldn't throw it, and he would get pissed. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to throw alley-oops. So I started practicing with him, just throwing alley-oops by ourselves and getting used to it. And anytime he pointed up, I threw it up there and he would go get it. He had to catch it on the left side. He didn't like catching alley-oops on the right side. So, I had to know that. So I tried to bring the ball up the right side and throw it across court to the left side. He used to get up there and make me look good.
I mean, obviously, I know you guys going into your senior year, you had success. You had made the tournament the year before. But, was there a moment in your senior season where you said, okay, we've learned from our mistakes, through momentum, we could do something special? Was there a specific moment or time, or is that something just built in from the off season going into the senior year?
No, I think after we lost to Purdue my junior year, we were up that game, and we were playing really well. We should have won that game going against Purdue, and it was heartbreaking. So, we worked hard that summer. We all believed that we could, take it to the next level. We added some pieces in Luther Clay. We had Antonio and Preston, who were big pieces for our team. I changed our culture when we recruited those two. They came in my sophomore year. So, going into the tournament, we felt we were really good. We competed against some of the top teams in the country during non-conference games. In the Atlantic 10, I think we had maybe 4 or 5 teams that went to the tournament. So our league was really tough back then. So it prepared us for any challenges that we would face in the NCAA tournament.
What was your mindset going into the game, that first round, trying to avenge last year's loss?
Well, I think we read in the newspaper somewhere that they were going to beat us. So that really, motivated us to go out there and play well right from the jump. Coach Herrick also worked with Godfrey at UCLA. He was assistant coach under Herrick. So, you know how the NCAA likes to pair teams up and see what happens. So, I know Coach Herrick was ready for the game. He didn't want to lose to one of his assistant coaches. And again, we went out there with a chip on our shoulder. We knew that Murray State was a really good team. They're in the tournament right now, and they're a really good team right now. So very good program for a long time. They have a great history. So we had to be ready to play. We didn't want to lose like we did against Purdue. So we got out on them very early.
And then going into obviously that Kansas game. So you got, Ray Ferentz, Paul Pierce. I like to say, you or I allowed, I'm a Celtics fan, so you or I, allowed him to fall to number 10. If he would have went on a run, he's probably, maybe a top 5 pick. But
Right.
obviously you guys, like I said, you guys are seniors. Obviously, you hear the names like Pierce, LaFrentz. What was that atmosphere like for you guys?
Well, seeing Kansas on TV and seeing them in person is totally different. They were so big. So we were a little nervous. I wouldn't lie about that. We were nervous, but we had the confidence that we could play with them. I played with Paul Pierce in the Olympic tryouts. He was on my team. Every day they would switch teams, but we just kept being on the same team. We didn't lose one game during Olympic trials. So I knew Paul from back then in college before we played him. So I knew his game. I knew Coutinho would guard him and try to go at him because, we wanted to be recognized. We wanted to get drafted. And it was a great opportunity for us to go against and compete against guys that were getting looked at in the NBA as a high draft pick in Ray Ferentz and Paul Pierce. So again, we always play with a chip on our shoulder. We always wanted to be known as a top players in the country. Ryan Robertson was a McDonald's All-American, so I knew I was going against a really good player, and I wanted to prove to everybody that I could play against a bigger guard and dominate. So, the start of the game, it was kind of shaky. I got 2 fouls and had to come out, and that really made me nervous. But I got back in the game. We started playing well. Coutinho was going against Paul Pierce, playing very well. Luther Clay was playing well, rebounding. Antonio Reynolds-Dean, Josh King, like our whole team and our whole group pitched in and kept us in the game while I was out. And when I got back in there, as the momentum was going, I could see the swing and I could see it on their faces that they were getting nervous. And so we just fueled off of that and kept playing hard and try to, blow them out.
No, I remember that's one of my, I should say one of mine. That was, I think, the greatest sports moment for me as a kid.
Yeah,
just watching that. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine just watching that, and I always love that, that picture of Reynolds Dean and that dance at the end. I feel like I saw the Atlantic 10 championship the next year, and he was doing that same thing. So I don't know if there's a name for that dance.
That's the bankhead bounce from Atlanta.
Yeah.
That was Antonio's dance. The bankhead bounce.
All right. But yeah, that was just unbelievable. And then, obviously that's a huge high. You're finishing the weekend. Now you got 4 days off. And, for me, even looking back at it, and I remember at the time, you're now facing, you guys are a Cinderella story in a way, because you just beat Kansas, but now you're actually facing like the Cinderella of Cinderella. Right?
Yes.
The inbounds pass to be thrown by Jamie Sykes. Carter pressuring. It's to Jefferson Drew for the win. Gone! He did it! Maurice Drew did it! Foul ball!
What was that week off like, going from a weekend of beating Kansas and then 4 days off and preparing for Valpo?
Thinking back on that, I remember us being the underdog in a lot of games in the NCAA tournament, obviously Kansas game and things like that. So when you now get the tables turned on you and Valparaiso was the underdog and everyone loves the underdog. So going into that week was different for us, kind of being a favorite. And then, you're hearing the narrative of the Valparaiso is going to knock off Rhode Island, like they're going to be the Cinderella story. So it was a little different to be on the other side of the coin. But again, being a veteran group, I thought we were very well prepared and we handled that well.
Before you go, too much hands by Nunes. Murphy's just too quick.
What was your preparation like? How did Herrick help keep you guys focused, saying, okay, this, we're not done yet? And also, was there, do you think there could have been a letdown? Obviously there wasn't, but facing a team like Valpo after Kansas, or is it just NCAA tournament, it didn't matter. You guys were all locked in.
Well, no, I think Valpo, like you said, was the Cinderella team. Bryce made that big shot against Ole Miss. So they were getting more of the notoriety and all the attention. So we were like, good, we're the underdog again. obviously we're in the Atlantic 10. We played in a better league, in our opinion, than their league. So we were supposed to beat them, but because they had so much hype, and again, they were a Cinderella team, we thought that was a good thing for us. Coach Herrick's son was an assistant coach on that team, on the Valpo team. Catino wanted the challenge of guarding Bryce Drew. He just guarded Paul Pierce, so he knew he could guard him as well. And they were a very good team. It was a tough game. I think we might have won by 4 or 5 points. So it was a back and forth game. Bryce hit some amazing shots. They had some big guys that could score as well. But we just came ready to play, and we were focused throughout the whole game.
And then Stanford.
Yep.
Obviously, such swing of emotions, but going against Stanford, you had an incredible game. I forget what I know you probably know. I mean, I think you had 20 plus 25 that game. What was it like knowing, all right, you guys are in the Elite Eight, you're playing against another big program in Stanford. What was your preparation going into that game? And that's probably not the best question, but when did you guys think that you had a chance to go to the Final Four? When was it, when did it click? Was it before that game? Was there a time during that game? Is there a moment you remember when the Final Four started really sinking in for you?
Well, I think, we played Stanford earlier that year out in San Francisco, and we lost to them the same way we lost to them in the Elite Eight. We were up big. They came back and hit some big shots. So we remember that when we were playing them. Coach Herrick obviously was coaching in the Pac-10 back then against Stanford, so he knew everything they were going to run. We had them scouted down to a T. I remember Coach Herrick saying that was the best our offense ever looked for him as a coach, even from UCLA in his previous jobs. It was perfect. We ran everything to a T. We were rolling. Everybody was moving, cutting. We were playing great defense. We were up, I think, like 9 or 10 points with like a minute some change to go. And we knew we were about to win, go to the Final Four. Then everything crumbled. Arthur Lee was hitting shots. We were missing foul shots as a group. We were turning the ball over. Everything went their way at the end, and we couldn't get one break. And it was unfortunate, but it is NCAA tournament and things like that happen every single year. So.
And you guys were in the position. You made it to the Elite Eight. If someone would have said, obviously, you're going to be in the Elite Eight, right? I mean, you think that every time.
Exactly.
How often has it become less or more that, moments of that game kind of just sporadically pop up? I mean, I played high school basketball a little bit at like college. There's moments from my sophomore year of high school. That I replay every once in a while, but
right.
How long did that take for that game to kind of settle in and be like, all right, a great run, it is what it is, did that take a long time?
Yeah, I don't think it ever has like settled in and like I was okay with it. Now throughout the rest of my career, I would think about that game. Playing professionally, the first couple of years I was playing professionally, I would get to the foul line and I would worry about making a foul shot. And I think my foul shooting percentage in the CBA was like 50%, because every time I went to the foul line, I was like, just don't miss. I was throwing air balls, I couldn't make a foul shot. Then I finally started, talk to myself and be like, you've got to concentrate. I took a step off the foul line and used to give myself like motivational words before I shot a foul shot. Then my percentage went from 50% to about 85%. So, it always stuck with me. Also just late game situations, taking care of the ball, and obviously playing as a professional, I would always think about that. The game is never over. And now as a coach, I always try to tell our players, keep playing till the buzzer's over. The game is never over until the last buzzer, if you're up or if you're down. You could always come back like Stanford did, or you could always lose a lead like we did. So, it's those lessons that you learn as a player, and you try to give those to the players you coach now. It was a great moment. Like I said, when I went on my visit and Catino was like, we're going to be the best 1-2 punch in the country, I never believed it. And then going to our senior year and going to the Elite Eight and putting ourselves in the position to be drafted was a dream come true. We never thought that we would get drafted. I didn't personally think I was going to get drafted. I thought I was too small. On the day of the draft, I was playing in a summer league in Hartford, Connecticut. And it was funny because Marcus Camby was at the game. And he was with the Raptors at the time. And after the game, he's like, yo, Tyson, come here. He's like, we're going to draft you tonight. And I was like, yeah, right. But he must have knew something. So I was driving home and I happened to get to the draft during the second round and I heard my name and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. And it was to the Toronto Raptors. And then I got traded to the Denver Nuggets with Chauncey Billups. But it was during the lockout season. We were preparing to go to like camp after you get drafted. I went to the camp and then they had the shutdown and the lockdown. So then I was just relaxing because I didn't think the season was going to start. So that really, put a hold on my career, I think, and Catino's, because we would have been prepared to go into camp had it been in October. But I think it was like November, December where we went into camp. So that made it difficult for us.
Well, that's why you're at UMass.
Excuse me?
I said that's why you went to UMass.
Yeah, because of Marcus Camby.
Because of Marcus Camby, there it is.
He's a Connecticut guy.
Like how's Wheeler wearing red? I don't get this. There it is. Now it makes sense now.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah.